All right, what's up, y'all? So I'm back out here at the bench in the backyard, and I've got this little Cotoneaster. It's a little gem variety, small leaves, spreading, but there's a lot to it. It's got this. It's got looks like single trunk with maybe a second, or this might be actually connected down below the soil level. We'll go down and look. But the main trunk is this part right here. Can't really see it. There's a lot in the way. You can see here, main trunk here, and then there's either a secondary trunk coming right here, or that's a second. They don't move independently, so I'm thinking that is probably connected down below the soil level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this out. I'm not going to be repotting today. Again, it's middle of the summer. So, but I'll just be taking off this top layer of soil, get down, see if we can't find the bottom of the root base. We've got a lot of fresh white tips. So she should be good to go until the spring when we actually do repot. There are some branches that have come in and either made contact or buried themselves in the soil. Hopefully we'll get some of those we'll have ground layered, and we can go ahead and cut those off and get those potted in little small plant pots, because we're going to be taking a lot of this off, because it's just, there's so much there. All right, so we're back in here. I'll move y'all around a little bit so that you can actually see what's going on down in here. Get you a little bit closer. About like that. So what we're going to do is just come in here, scrape off this top layer. Try and keep anything that has rooted, keep the roots intact. This one right here feels like it might have. Yes. All right, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and clean off this top, because this is kind of the boring part, and I'll come back in once this is cleared out, and we can look and see what we're going to be doing. All right, see y'all in just a little bit. Okay, so this is what I was able to pull out, that is already got some roots on it. Some of it's just a single root coming down like these two. This one's actually got 3 on it, but this one's basically just a single root. Not really a whole lot of fine feeder roots that I was able to dig out. Some of them ripped. That'll be okay. I'll plant those anyway, just to see what happens. Worst thing happens is they don't stay, they die, which was going to happen anyway, because I'm about to cut this Cotoneaster up. Then I've got a couple smaller ones, some decent, and this one's just a little small one, small root. This one will probably wind up planting about like that, probably turn it into like a cascade. A lot of them are curved. Got something like that down at the bottom. Might turn it into a 2 trunk. Might cut that bit off and just have this coming up. And again, we can put some movement into that one. We got a big one right here. It's got a decent amount of roots. I don't know how much of this is roots from the main plant and how much of it is the roots from this one. Most of it's probably from the main plant, but you got this brand new root right here that just came out. They should be okay. Don't want to dig too much around in that, and then like that one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some pots, some small pots, and we'll throw some dirt in them, get these planted, and then I'll go back and start in on the Cotoneaster, the main plant. But yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the branches had all ground layered by themselves, just sitting in that. It's actually a full 1 gallon pot. Plus I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6 little tiny small cuttings, just from the base of the trunk where I was trying to see if I could find the base. I believe now that that's 2 different plants. Not sure how I'm going to deal with that right now, because I mean it's the middle of August and I don't really want to do a whole lot of root work to get them separated. So that might just turn into a clump style planting with the 2 trunks, or with the 2 trees. I might have to add 1 or 2 of these in. Well, no, I guess 1 or 3 of these in. You don't really want to do even numbers. But anyway, I'll go ahead and get these planted up, and I will be right back. All right, so 1, 2, 3, these are all solo pots, just a single stem. I didn't have any more smaller, like quart or 2 quart pots that aren't being used at the moment. I wasn't about to put these in 3 gallon pots. So all I did, I cut off the I made sure that, we can show you, not that one, not that one. It doesn't matter. Basically all I did was I took all the leaves off of the bottom, like 2 or 3 inches up above where those roots started. Made sure those roots were buried, and buried another inch or inch and a half above those. So we'll set these in the shade over there with all my other seedlings, and just make sure we keep them watered. I'll probably miss the foliage in the afternoons, just to try and keep them from getting burned. By that time, where they'll be sitting, they'll be in shade basically most of the day. They'll just get a couple of hours of morning sun, and that'll be it for the day for them. All right, so we're back here with the main tree, main bush, whatever. And so as I cleared out some of this top, raked out just some of the small fibrous roots at the top. There's so many roots in here that it's not really going to matter one way or the other. But you can kind of see they move independently. So this is going to be 2 different trees. So what I'm going to have to try and do, because I don't want to rip it apart, I could try it and just cut it in half. I've got enough bigger pots that I'd be able to do that. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to try and cut it. And just, they'll be very, well, I don't know. That might actually be connected down at the bottom. So let me see if I can't dig down here a little bit more. I'll come around so that you can actually see what's going on. So yeah, it moves, but then I can't really tell. So we'll go in here, see if we can't dig down a little bit more. Pretty sure they're 2 different trees. Can't really fill by just pressing in. I don't want to jack up the bark too bad. We're going in, just trying to get enough of this out that so we've got a main root right here. And another main root right there. So we've got a spread coming out like this. One's coming this way, and then this one's going this way. And there's nothing coming straight at us, so that could be a good thing. Grab my root rake. In this case, I'm not just using 2 fingers because it's so dense in here. There's so many feeder roots, and it's like that all the way down to the bottom. I mean, you can look down here, and there's still feeder roots all the way down here. So I'm not too terribly worried about destroying this too bad. Just trying to find where the root base is so that we can set the front of our tree and hopefully maybe separate these two. That would be ideal. If we could do that. Because it shifts that way. Like, you can see it moving. Like that. But then if you try and pull it out, it doesn't want to pull. Now, it could be, there could be some roots that are girdling either tree. You know, a root from this one that's wrapped around like that, or a root from this one that's wrapped around this one. But until we get down to the base, we won't know for sure. So, kind of just trying to score a little bit of a line between the two to see if that helps. And the same thing over here. And now we've got some major circling roots. Of course, for my luck, one of them is going to be from one tree and the other is going to be from the other tree. If they are in fact separate. Which I'm kind of hoping they are. Otherwise, I just got to cut this off like down at the soil line. And I don't really want to do that. I'd rather have 2 trees out of this. And that would kind of hamper me from exposing more trunk at a later point. So, a really bad thing that'll happen is if this does happen, then whatever roots from this side that are over here are going to wind up getting cut, and vice versa. But no, I mean, they don't want to separate at all. Well, I found the problem. So, down in here, there's this root coming off of the main trunk. It kind of has this thing wrapped up. So I'm going to Alright, so this one's got two roots that are coming on either side of the main tree. So we're going to have to try and dig them out. And this is the problems you have when you go and buy nursery stock. They haven't been developed at all for bonsai. So you have to deal with problems like this, and it takes a couple of years just to get them to the point where they can where they can actually be used. And I don't mind, especially if it's the small one, if I rip all the roots apart and just can't. Yeah, that one's about to rip off. So it is what it is. If this one dies, it dies. I'd rather have the main tree anyway. So what I'm going to try and do is, I mean, I really want to save as many roots as I can. I got time. Just got to dig. Oh, it broke. The whole root. Oh well, that's fine. Hopefully there's still more down low that I can salvage. Well, I think it did wind up being a low branch on this trunk. Yep, sure did. Well, saved a good bit of the roots. But yeah, you can see all the way down here where my fingertip is right here. That's where it was actually connected to the main tree. So, but it's got enough roots on it, it should survive. We'll cut off some of this foliage to make sure it's not trying to supply too much. And if we get this turned up, let me move this out of the way. Alright, so what we could do is kind of twist this up here like this. We could be okay. And cut this one off. Or because the ground level will be right about there. So what we can do is we can either move this up or move this over like that, bring these two back this way with this, and go with kind of a windswept design on that, which could be fine. Have this maybe swing around and go back. I don't know. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and plant this in one of my pots over here, and then we'll go in here, and I mean most of this side of the roots are disconnected, so we'll get some of this dirt out and some of the roots that I have cut, and see if we can't. The Demari on this one should be okay. This one's a little high, but we can adjust our planting angle so it's about like that. And then we could either carry this up this one right here as the trunk, or we can use this and then maybe try and bring this one back up and around, or up and over. We'll see when we get there. All right, I'm back. That other side is planted. So we're just going to dig this out a little bit. And like I said, most of this was the circling roots, and they kind of got separated. And now what we're trying to do is just disentangle them from this root right here. That's basically the only thing that's holding them together. Or holding them to the tree, I should say. They're holding themselves together. Yeah, there's just a few that are still attached to the tree. And we're going to keep those. We need to get rid of the rest of them. Otherwise, they'll just rot in the pot. But because we're doing all of this root work, this is definitely going in the shade for several weeks, maybe a month. And it might be living inside this winter. Although they're fairly cold hardy. They're really cold hardy, especially for around here. We won't get anywhere near where these start to die off, which is like minus 20 or something like that. We get down into the teens, but we don't ever get much colder than that. So, while I'm doing it, might as well work a little bit on this side, try and even it up a little bit, and hopefully then when we repot, we'll go back in that same pot that we were in. We'll add a little bit more fresh dirt. We'll go in the shade for a couple of weeks, and then in probably 2 weeks or so, we'll hit it with a little bit of fertilizer, not a lot, just a little microdose. I don't want to burn any new roots we have with a lot of nitrogen or phosphorus. So that'll have to do. So now what we're going to go in here and do is figure out where this nabari is going to be. Got this one, which if I can dig out a little bit. Both of them. All right, so I guess that's what we're gonna do. We'll plant about like that. Well, as it sits right there, I think that's gonna have to be the planting angle. And this is going to be the front. So let's go ahead and get this planted up. And make sure, especially on this side where we took most of the dirt out and did a lot of, took out a lot of roots. I'm gonna make sure we get dirt all up in there. And because I'm using my normal compost mixture, as it waters, all those cracks will fill in. It's not a coarse bonsai mix, but it's just my normal compost mix, which is 1 part topsoil to 1 part manure and mushroom compost. So I get just regular old cow manure, the decomposed cow manure, and mushroom compost. I'll mix those together and use that as a single part to a single part of actual topsoil. All right, so we're back. We're all set over here. And so what we can do, some of these that got trimmed off right here, this one was actually down and into the thing, and that's one of the ones that was ground layered. So I'm going to go ahead, actually both of these, here and here, both were, and they're coming out from the same spot anyway. So I'll go ahead and take these 2 back here off. Actually, there's 3 of them right there. Huh. Go ahead and flush cut these. This one's too low and too small compared to this one. We don't want this one getting too much bigger. So we might take this off entirely and just bring this down and around like that to give us that taper. Or we could, although there's no budding right in here, see how that comes out. Got this one in the back over here. That one's not really useful. It takes away from our little negative space right in here. This one's coming back into the middle, which we don't want. That one's dead. This one's coming up from the outside of this cut. So we'll keep this one right here as a little sacrifice to try and speed some healing in to where we just cut. And then hopefully we'll get those to cover up fairly quickly without too much scarring. But we can go ahead and clear out this other crotch growth. And over here as well, all this little stuff. Yeah, I think this one that's vertical, it's a little too straight anyway. I mean, it's still movable. Tell you what we'll do. We'll shorten it up to right there. That. Cut this big one off. And bring this back to there. Now this big long one, Same thing, we'll come in here to this dominant bit. These two will shorten back. Now this one, no growth down here in the bottom. It's possible that this buds back, just because where it was in the pot, it wasn't getting a whole lot of shade or a whole lot of sun. So those leaves just either didn't develop or they developed and then died off. So put like that. Uh-oh. The soil level will be right here. Or I might be able to take it down a little bit more and then take off these big roots next time I repot this, which won't be for a couple of years because I've done a lot of work to it already today. So what I did over here for our first directional branch, this one, there's no growth on the inside. I'm assuming that's because it died off because it wasn't getting enough light. It was over here was very bushy. You had that extra plant right here, and then you also had these three over here were coming around here and shading this out. We might get some back budding over here, which would be great, and if we do that, we can shorten back to wherever we get that back budding, and then create taper that way coming down this way. This one will probably wind up getting cut off, that way we can get some taper here, because this will probably be the end of that branch right there. I'm not going to be doing any wiring. I'm just basically cutting stuff that I know is not going to be part of the overall design. I am leaving this part right here because it's going to speed healing at least to this top cut right here. I don't have any more buds coming off of any of the other ones, but hopefully they'll cover up nicely, and they should scar over and bark up nicely. So yeah, our next question is which of these two is going to be the trunk. We know this one's not going to be, because if this is the front of the tree, it's just too close to the same level as this one. We could just try shortening it back to here. Like that. And this one's way too thick compared to the rest of the branch. So we can leave that like that. We've got a good selection of branches back here in the back. So if the front of the tree is this right here, we can bring this one back. We can bring this one down and over. This is off of this branch. So our main question right now is going to be, is this going to be our apex, or is this going to be our apex? Now, the question is, with this one, can we get it turned back in? I think we can. It should turn, especially if we maybe bring it in. No, it'll have to turn up in like that. We could actually use this one. Huh. Oh, I see what happened. We had a, looks like an ant fell into the fish pond and they tried to catch it. They didn't get him. He's up on top of the lily pads, and we'll see if he gets out. Or I should say see. Yep, she looks like she's out. Yeah, those goldfish will eat anything. Bugs, fish food. They tore up all of the floating plants that we had in there. They didn't last long at all. They were in there for about a week total. Um, maybe not even that long. But now if we take this one, and we cut everything over there off, we could have this little windswept, which could be okay, coming over like this. All right, so I've been sitting here looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. Now we could turn this into a semi-cascade and bring this up here like that. And then up here, get rid of this and bring this around and up like that. Probably use this one right here. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. And so on this side, we don't need that height. So if we shrink this down in, bring this to here, we're just gonna do it. Because if I don't, I'll sit here looking at it all day and then nothing will ever change. And that's just out of size now. So this way we've got a little bit of a triangular pattern. All right. So if we rock that like that, and bring this in like this, and these don't need you. All right, and so now we just have to figure out what to do with the top of this. So if those are going to be there, bring this one here, that there. We can then bring this around and out like that. And maybe flip it over. At most, this one will come out to here. No, we're taking that off. And that. To kind of even it up. Alright, and then this big mop. Now we can turn it this way and take out all this on there. Ooh. Well, that's coming off. So yeah, I guess that's what we're going to do with it. Go ahead and we'll clean up this side. This. No. So what we're going to do with this, so we'll bring it around like that. So this will be down. This is going to come around like that. That is the front. I'm going to leave it like this. Just shorten this up a little bit, going towards the front. So yeah, and then this will eventually get turned around once we go in and wire. And then we'll figure out which one of these that we're going to use as the top. This one will probably bring around towards the back so that we can fill in this gap right here. Yeah, we should be good with that. Again, we'll bring this down, bring this up over the top like that for our little semi-cascade. And we're going to plant it about that angle. Maybe slightly higher, so that we'll get this little S and bring that up a little bit. So overall, it'll be looking about like that. A little bit more of a bend here up towards the front, coming back at us. Of this up here, what I'm going to keep, I'm not real sure. This will probably go away. In fact, that is going away. I don't like it. It's too close. So this we can kind of drop. And that'll be something we do when we actually put wire on it. I don't want to bend the tree, or we'll have a problem like we did a couple weeks ago, a month ago, whatever. And so yeah, that's where we're going with that. That other one that I brought, or I pulled out, we've got right here. You can kind of see in here. This is one of the parts that ground layered. We can go ahead and take that off. Not like that. So this one, we'll shorten this side down to here. And this, we'll go ahead, clip that whole thing off. So all we're left with is this. And this one will probably wind up being a little windswept design. Figure out something to do with these, make them look cool. Go ahead, shorten these up a bit, bring them down. So it'll just be a single. If we get any good back butting up here, we can change the planting angle real good. Bring this up and around if we get any good back butting. If not, it'll just be a single, and we'll figure out something to do with that later. All right. So that's the two of them that we have, plus that other stuff, and all of this that I cut off of the big one. I'm going to try, and any of it that's decent, something like that, we'll clean it up, shove it down in the dirt. Worst thing happens, they don't root, and they just get tossed in the garbage later. But I could have a few more plants, because you can never have enough. There's no such thing as too many bonsai, right? All right, so until the next time I see y'all here at the bench, just remember to grow them big and keep them small. Bye, y'all.